Corpbiz.
This is Arshdeep and the content for this video is product certification of man-made polyester textile yarn. As the content for this video is long, as such we shall break it into multiple parts. This video, part 1, details the scope of the license. Now this video covers 4 main standards that are applicable for BIS certification of polyester grade yarn. Partially oriented polyester yarn, 100% polyester spun grey and white yarn, polyester staple fiber, polyester continuous filament and fully drawn yarn. Polyester industrial yarn is not covered in this video. Now it should be noted that the standards are functional to change over time. As such, this video is based on the latest guidelines published by BIS on August 2022. While in the duration of this video, I shall be covering the basic technical requirements of the selection of the scope of license as stated in the BIS guidelines. But I do implore you to go to the standard yourself. Let's start with the categories covered in the scope of this license. Now the scope itself is divided into multiple parts. First is the analysis or the classification of the raw material based on the raw material itself. One is virgin and the other is recycled material including blended yarn. It should be noted that in 100% polyester spun grey yarn, the manufacturing technology used has to be specified. The standard at the moment covers ring spun, air jet and air vortex manufacturing technology. Further classification of yarn itself is done on the basis of cross-section area. When the yarn cross-section area is observed through a microscope based on the shape observed, it is categorized either as circular or other shapes. Other shapes which are categorized in BIS terminology as profiled. Now profile cross-section is further categorized as triangular, which BIS terminology refers to as angular. Trilobal categorized as lobal, serrated, bean-shaped categorized as oval, and lastly ribbon-like. Now cross-section area is one category, the other category is cross-section shape. Where the yarn cross-section area is observed through a microscope, based on the area observed, it is either categorized as solid cross-section area or hollow cross-section area. Further on, there is multi-component fiber. Now a multi-component fiber is a fiber that contains 2 or more distinct polymer with their cross-section area. They are categorized as concentric core, matrix core and sheath core. Now that the classification based on yarn cross-section area is done, next is the classification based on the yarn luster properties, defined as the amount of titanium oxide percent found in the yarn. It is categorized as full dull with more than 1.5% titanium oxide content, semi-dull with content between 0.16 to 1.5% TiO2 content, semi-dull optically bright with 0.16 to 1.5% TiO2 content, bright with content up to 0.16% TiO2 content, optically bright with TiO2 content up to 0.16%, and lastly super bright with no titanium oxide content as in 0%. Similarly, classification is also based on yarn's dyeing method. Number 1. Dispersed dyeable, which covers conventional dyeing, stock dyeing and easy dyeing. Number 2. Catenic dyeing and easy dyeable catenic dyeing. Number 3. Dope dyed and optically white yarn. While the undyed yarns are not separately covered in the standard, it is included in conventional dyeing, stock dyeing, catenic dyeing and easy dyeable catenic dyeing. Now that we have confirmed the manufacturing specific and yarn specific classification, we move on to the chemical specific yarn classification. The standard gives you the option of confirming your chemical composition for the polyester through one of 2 processes. Number 1. Method consisting for the test for solubility. Solubility with sulfuric acid and metacresol. You can also use phenol instead of metacresol. Dissolubility with nitric acid and acetone. Melting point as tested on differential scanning calorimeter. Now this was method 1. Method 2 consists of testing for staining test. Now staining test with zinc chloride gives you a faint yellowish tint, while testing with Detex and alkaline lead acetate gives you no change. Testing with Schurler stain A, the solution when cold is pale purple, while upon heating it, it changed to pale fawn. Now pale fawn is the lightest shade of sand for the reference. Staining test with neocarmine W turns the solution slightly soiled. Lastly, the test for Texchrome. The solution shall turn very pale blue. Next is the range of linear density or denier count that is currently under production in your manufacturing plant with its correspondent minimum and maximum range of filament count. Additionally, partially oriented yarn covers micro deniers, while polyester staple fiber covers micro, supermicro and nanofibers. Next is the additional parameters that are included in the yarns. These are optional parameters such as flame retardant yarn, antimicrobial yarn, ultraviolet light resistant yarn, high oriented yarn, special cross section such as profiled, hollow, mixed cross section yarns, thick and thin yarns, bi-shrinkage yarn, high shrinkage yarn and mother yarn. Lastly, based on whether or not you are applying for an eco mark. Now this concludes the video on product certification of man-made polyester yarn and its scope. The part 2 shall be released shortly, containing the technical specification and the parameters as explained in the standard. Now since there are 4 standards, there will be more further videos based on each standard. I hope you follow for more and do subscribe. Thank you.